1, 2, 3, 4. Fighting crime, trying to save the world. Here we go, just in time. The Powerpuff Girls. What up, niggas? It's your boy Jermaine Event. How you doing? It's Babylon 5 Podcast, episode 56. For life. For life. How you guys doing? How's your week been? It's your boy Jermaine Event. Jermaine Event. I don't know why. Just as I was about to press record, getting ready to record here, that theme song popped in my head. The Powerpuff Girls theme song, and I was like, why not? I haven't done those terrible singing intros in quite some time. Let me go ahead and throw it back. I'm gonna give you guys the social medias real quick before I start babbling, because I'm about to babble and I don't want to have to be like, all right, let me go back in here and try to find my place in the story. So if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, the handle is at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you guys got Xbox One, go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. You can watch me play with myself if you're lucky. If you're lucky enough to catch me on there, go to twitch.tv/Babylon5. I guess I could set a schedule. I'll set a schedule next week. That's my goal. Set a schedule. Yeah, and you can check out the merchandise. Go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop and go ahead and be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. I just uploaded I Digress 7. I recorded it yesterday. I just did a preview of the Angela Hill-Michelle Waterson fight, which took place yesterday. I'm gonna talk about that later in this episode. But I don't know. For the past couple I Digresses, I've been getting messages where it's like, YouTube blocked it, bruh. You didn't do what you needed to do. And in this one, I was like watching YouTube. Well, UFC just uploaded Michelle Waterson versus Paige Van Zandt, and then Angela Hill versus Hannah Cyphers. And I went on there and I just like made the video of me reacting to just watching those videos, and I just previewed my ideas just off of watching those two fights of what I thought was going to happen in the main event with Angela Hill and Michelle Waterson, and it got flagged. So even though that was uploaded to YouTube as a free fight, and I put it up there, and I responded to the video that's on YouTube, it somehow still got flagged. So, like it pops up, says UFC free fight. It's on YouTube, and but it got flagged. So I'm not sure if it's there. I went on there and I was still able to watch it, but it's me. Maybe I gotta like switch accounts and look for it. So maybe it's there, but I Digress 7 is there. Go to Patreon and be my patrons. I'll try to be a little more active. I mean, it's pretty sporadic with I Digress. It's just when I feel like doing a vlog. This is my weekly podcast. This will always be dropping Mondays. This is my weekly podcast, but I Digress is just, when I feel like recording for you niggas. Know what I'm saying? So yeah, go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. You guys can be my patrons. This morning, I woke up to something I deem pretty fucking disgusting. Right, I saw it. I woke up, saw I had this fucking like little icon there. It said I had a Facebook message. I don't get a lot of Facebook messages. I'm boring these days, ladies and gentlemen, and I like it that way. And I get a Facebook message, and it's from my old DJ Moses, And I watch these videos, and I want to play them here for you guys, and then I'm going to react to these videos here. I'm going to explain. This is Moses and my brother Travis. All right.
No shit like this. Yeah, we out here talking about snow miser and heat miser. Bro, I'm telling you, bro. Heat miser, snow miser. Then I'm talking about the Goofy movie. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Powerline. Here it is. Bro. Out here.
Yeah.
Higher education, y'all got the potential to be great, bro. No bullshit. Like, y'all kind of
Yuck.
died a couple of years ago. I mean,
then came back to life.
But the years ago, y'all was on top.
Nah.
It's time to get back and execute that shit, bro. Y'all can get it, bro. Yeah, Mike.
So that was the first video. I didn't mean to react in it, but it's just like, it's probably the third time I'm watching this video, and it's just like, I was pretty grossed out the first time I saw these videos, and it's just like, this third time, it's like, nah, bro. Like, there's just so much wrong, and I'll explain as we go, but yuck.
Old school, Goofy movie, everything, bro. Wherever you want to go back, anything, cover anything, bro. It's time to higher education for life, bro. Y'all, there's no reason why y'all shouldn't be together. Get that shit going. Y'all was on top. It's time to get back on top. You know what I'm saying? The fuck?
That shit's gross. Yuck. All right? Yuck. Glad I could play that for you guys. Yuck. That's how I woke up this morning. I woke up to see that, and I was like, that's disgusting. Now, in my brother's defense there, he's the one who spoke for the majority of that video. I am heat miser on these beats. All right? I'm heat miser on these beats. That's where that reference comes, where the start of that video. I just want to mention that, because Mo had no idea about heat miser and all that. I had to show all them niggas about. I taught him, his mom. I had to show them niggas a year without a Santa Claus. But I'm heat miser on these beats. So that was the reference for the first of that. Yuck for that video. I just want to say, like, you know, I have a few brews here and there. I don't do the whole going out and getting drunk thing. My brother's pretty intoxicated in that video. Maybe Moses is as well, but I just don't like that, you know, especially because it's just like that whole interaction is pretty gross. The fact that Moses would send me this video is pretty gross, and you'd probably want to blame it on the alcohol, but maybe you should relax on the alcohol if that's the case. Look at Jermaine. Is that a pot? Or is that a kettle? Who knows? It's the same. So number one here, I wanted to say I make music. You know, my brother was like, I want you to get back into music. And it's funny because I make music. He might not be aware of this, but July 28th, I dropped my album, The Grump, ladies and gentlemen. Go stream it everywhere right now. Go get Jermaine Event's album, The Grump, streaming everywhere. I release music, ladies and gentlemen. But I feel like, but when I speak to my family, like my brother, my mom, I speak to these people, and maybe they seemingly miss all my music that I've released. Not just the past 2 months that I released music, but over the past 2 years of me releasing music. And I say that, I remember, shout out to Breaking and Entering. They wrote an article on me, and they were like, yo, this is his whatever project in the past 2 years. And I was like, wait a minute, 2 years? What is he talking about? And I was like, oh shit, I almost forgot that I dropped, like I recorded the project Commercial Break, and I was going to release that probably like a year or two prior to when I released it, but then I didn't, because higher education was just like, you know, no, we got to do this, we got to do that. There were all these reasons for why I couldn't put the project out. And then I eventually just like released it one day, like closer around Christmas a couple years ago. Yeah, I just like released it. My buddy was talking to me about putting out new music, his coworker, and I was like, you know what? Since you're, because he said the older stuff, he was into the older stuff. I was like, all right, bro, I'll just drop this project later tonight. When I get home, I'll just upload it and put it out. Like, since you're interested. And he's like, oh, word. And I just put it out just because he was interested. And that's that. So they said, like, you know, his first project, blah, 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 like, or it's like third project over 2 years, because I dropped Commercial Break 2 years ago. Then last summer, like toward the end, the NBA playoffs, I put out the 4 songs that I made into like my summer EP playlist of Bloke, Ichabod Crane, Bored Man, and I don't know what's the last. Wait, Bloke, Ichabod Crane, Bored Man. Was there a fourth? There was a fourth. I don't know what the fourth was. I'm rolling high and I getting low. Wait, that's Bloke, though. What am I thinking about? My point is here. I just got to know this real quick before I get into this, before I continue on with this. That, yeah, you know, I'm still putting out music. I just put out an album, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys want to, as I said, go check that out. The Grump. It's available everywhere. Let's see. Summer EP, there is 4 songs. No Feng Shui. No Feng Shui. I fucking love that song. I am rolling that off a pill, blowing that awesome kill. Jenny from the block, my nigga, I'm real. Fucking love that song. How did I forget? I went off. I did that the higher education way. So when I was living in the studio, just me digressing here, when I was living in the studio with Moses, they would like make me do these songs. I'd come home from work. I'd be like, nah, bro, like I'd be going. I try to sneak into my bedroom and people would just like hear me and they come to my room like, come on, bro, like let's come. And I'm like, nah, bro, I just was trying to chill. I'm like, come on, Jermaine, come on. And it's like, I just saw like it was like constantly like having to just like write and put out a new song week after week because we were doing weekly drops. So once I just like put out the first one, I was just like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna write a new one and just keep going. And that's how those came about. So yeah, this is the third project I've dropped in the last 2 years. So, but somehow when I speak to my mom, my brother, they're always like, oh, when are you gonna put out new music? And I'm just always like, I don't know. It's like, because usually when they're asking me the question, I probably just put out a song that week or the week before. And like, you know what I'm saying? I just put out new music. Like, right before Christmas, I put out a project. And still, I'm asked, like, oh, when are you going to put out new music? But I just dropped Commercial Break, like 2 years ago, right before Christmas. So when I saw you then, it shouldn't be, oh, when are you going to drop new music? It should be, yo, I like the last project, or maybe I hated the last project, whatever it was. I've been putting out music. This is the most official project, I would say, the Grump. Commercial Break was recorded with Mammoth. It's much better than all the mixes from Higher Education, so it sounds way more official than anything I've ever done with Higher Education. So, like, I say that Commercial Break is pretty polished, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty solid in itself. Summer was me trying to teach myself how to mix, but I can't. So the quality, if anything, is like right along the same pace as the stuff I was putting out with Higher Education, in my personal opinion. And now I got my new project. But so to that aspect of that, just that part of the video, my brother saying he wants me to get back into music. I never left. Never left, bruh. I never left. Go check out the album. Secondly, brother's drunk in the video, but he's super drunk in the video. So like all the things he's saying in the video, like the sampling, what he was trying to say, because over the years he always talks about that, how he wanted us to like sample Disney records, like old, like from the Goofy movie, sample songs from there, and like make hip hop records out of that, which sounds cool as an idea, You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, when I hear that in the video, I'm like, all right, he's going on this rant again. Like, I've heard it before, you know? But it's like, what he doesn't factor in is, like, even if we made those songs, we couldn't upload them anywhere without getting sued. Couldn't make any money from those songs without getting sued. That's just how that works these days. So, like, that just, it just doesn't work to make those songs because you can't use them anywhere, you know? So that's just, like, just to touch on that, like, that stuff that my brother was talking about, he always talks about how he wants us to, like, sample, like, old Disney movies that we used to watch back in the day. And I'm Heat Miser, you know? Heat Miser on these beats, ladies and gentlemen. Number 3, which I was, like, probably one of my biggest points here, it was, like, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, fuck. I don't know if anyone listening to this is aware. It's September 13th, 2020. All right? I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's a global pandemic going on. Airborne virus going on. There's an airborne virus going on. There's a pandemic going on. And they're like, oh, if people just, like, followed these practices and they just did the proper things, we could all get past this, like, in a matter of months. But people, refuse to. They refuse to. There's a pandemic going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. And I wake up to a couple videos sent to me from my former DJ at a bar with my brother, right? The DJ who had recently had a battle with leukemia. My brother, who just had his second child, all right? He just had a second child. Yet the two of them are at the bar as if, like, this exact behavior isn't what's fucking everybody over. This exact behavior. Just at the bar, just, like, fuck it, getting drunk, no masks on, just hanging out in crowds. And it's like... And then on top of that, like, the women in my family have, like, a history, including my mother, has a history of diabetes, which is one of those, like, pre-existing conditions where if, like, you have diabetes or, like, asthma and then you fucking contract COVID, that shit can turn fatal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching this video thinking about all this shit. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's hard for me to watch these two, just anybody, you know? Why are you guys even doing it? You're that fucking bored in the middle of a pandemic where you're like, I don't care about anybody's life. Fuck my mom, fuck everybody, fuck my own life. Fuck everybody. That's what I see when I look at this video. It's honestly hard to watch. It's hard to watch. There's a pandemic going on right now. It's actually a global fucking pandemic. Number 4, my brother says in this video, higher education for life, which is yuck. Fucking yuck. That's fucking gross. All right. Mo sent me this video. He said all this nonsense. So when he says higher education for life, there's no reason you guys shouldn't be together. Like, he's saying all this shit in the background, and it's fucking gross. All right. So I was going to say, if anyone, and it's clearly no one listening to this podcast, had seen the return of higher education records, which was Mo is the owner, my old DJ. Mo's just the old DJ. I was once affiliated with this crew. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it here because no one's interested in that. And no one listening to this podcast is interested in higher education records or aware of it at all. So if anyone random, like outside of listening to this pod, anyone in the world had seen the return of higher education records, they would have noticed that I wasn't a part of it, right? They would have noticed that I had nothing to do with it. I was never there. I was never mentioned in anything to do with higher education records. And they're doing the video with the guy who, for whatever reason, just needs to, he thinks he looks like Tobey Maguire, and he's like, let's beat this dead horse fucking for the rest of my life. Why are you guys keeping? But I digress. All right, I digress. You guys. So I had nothing to do with it. I'm not in any of the videos. I'm not involved in any way. Like, anyone who was watching that is fully aware, which I would assume that maybe my brother wasn't aware because, well, of course. Why would he be aware? Why would he be aware that they're back, but at the same time not aware that I've been dropping music for the past fucking 2 years? He only runs into Mo because they go to bars and shit. My brother's always at the bar, and I don't go to bars, so that's how that is. So I was never a part of any of the higher education return. Which was that? Was that this year or last year? I think maybe last year. I'm not sure. I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it, and I was called. Mo called me. And he called me prior to the return of higher education, and he was like, yo, you still want to be a rapper? And I was completely, like, thrown off by the question, like, for a number of reasons, like, you still want to be a rapper. Nigga, I was already, like, wrapping up the Grump, you know what I'm saying, basically, and just, like I wrote it and I was trying to record it here. That's what I was doing with Summer, was trying to teach myself how to fucking mix and master so that I could just do my real album, like, myself, but I wasn't able to. I was like, yo, this is too much of a learning curve for me to, like, I'm wasting my life trying to learn how to mix and master to do this project right now. I'm wasting my life. So I went to Silver City because I'm not a part of Higher Education Records. Where I would go to their studio if I was a part of that. But Mo called me, said, you still want to be a rapper? And I was already wrapping up my project, so I was thrown off by the question, and I was honestly offended by the, you still want to be a rapper? Okay, because, like, that question to me, it comes off as if, like I wasn't a rapper before this nigga. Like, before I started working with this nigga, I was putting out music before this nigga. I put out, like, 2 projects before I even met this nigga. Or maybe I put out 1 project before I met this nigga, and then we were working on the second one, and then shit kind of got iffy right before we put out the second project. Yeah, right when we were wrapping up the second project, niggas, like, the nigga we were renting the studio from was just like, yo, you guys didn't sign any contracts. Like, we got your songs, we got all the session files. Like, if you want your, because we, for whatever reason, didn't back up the sessions. And he was like, yo, if you want this, you got to pay extra, I don't know, X amount of dollars, whatever it was, to get our songs that we didn't back up. So, there's a lot of random Jermaine songs. Maybe randomly somebody has it on a hard drive somewhere, but there's a whole project out there that motherfuckers pretty much stole from me. And that's pretty much when we started working with Mo, because of a few empty promises, to be honest, but I digress. That's a story for a whole nother time. I'm just focusing on where we're at right now. So it's as if I wasn't a rapper before this nigga, and then it's like he implies. He implied in this, you still want to be a rapper, and in previous conversations when we lived together, just through over the years of working with him, he will try to imply to me and other people that we can't do these things without him. We won't be as successful without him, without this fucking random, without pushing it as the higher education machine. He tries to convince people of this fucking nonsense, bro. But, like, it's just nonsense. So I was just, like, offended by that whole thing, like, as if I'm just, like, nothing without this nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I told him then, like, hey, if I'm going to put out music, because I was working on the project, but, like, I was, like, focused on just mixing it myself, and I was, like, in the mindset, like, if I can't do it, then I'm just done. Like, I wasn't going to go to a studio, was my mindset. So I was like, if I'm going to do music, I'm just going to focus on me, and I can't focus on higher education. And he was like, he started going off telling me about like, oh, but we just got this new gear and we're doing this. And like, it's just like the usual like name dropping thing that he does. And like, he'll try to like just, oh, I just got this and it'll make it sound like this. He just goes into these spiels to try to convince you to like stick around and assure me that great things are gonna happen for higher education. Like we're back, man, blah, blah, blah. Which was like what they played, whatever those festivals were, whatever it was, it happened, and it doesn't seem like things were gonna keep happening in that way. From my perspective, maybe they were, but I wasn't involved and I chose not to be involved. And he told me about all these things and great things would happen and I should get back to him if I changed my mind. And I never did, but like, so I wasn't involved in any of the higher education returns. I didn't even show up to any of the events. You know what I'm saying? I have nothing to do with that. So then today, even after that conversation we had that I wouldn't be a part of it, even like just in the video, they're fully aware that I'm not a part of it. They send me this video. It's pretty disgusting. It's fucking yuck. All right? Just for anyone, like, it's not higher education for life. Definitely not. Not for me, at least. Because I'm not higher education records. I'm myself. I'm a fucking curmudgeon, if anything. And that's just the point. That video was pretty disgusting for a number of reasons. There's a pandemic going on, so go home. You guys should all just go home. There's no reason to be where you are. It's just gross to see, and the things said in there are gross. It's pretty gross, and the fact that video was sent to me, it's honestly pretty disgusting, but to each its own, you know? If that's how you niggas live, like, that's just fucking weird. I mean, if you guys understand where I'm coming from right here, like, why did you send that video to me? Like, because the nigga is looking awkward at point. Moses is laughing kind of awkwardly. Like, he almost understands how fucking weird it is that he's shooting these videos, but he still sent them to me. You know? Like, that shit's pretty disturbing, my nigga. Yuck. All right, moving on from that. I was just disgusted, but can't believe them niggas sent it to me. I just wanted to touch on that. I'm not with any crew at all. I'm just Jermaine. And guess what? I've been putting on music. I just want going back, he was like, and you should make like old school music, nigga. That's what everybody says my music sounds like. Maybe you should check it out. This recently on 9/11, let's not forget this moment. Roderick Walker, a black male passenger of a Lyft. He's in the car with his Lyft, his wife, if I'm not mistaken, and his two children. They're two children. One is 5 years old, one is 5 months old. The police pull over the Lyft because the driver, his car had a taillight out. Now, for whatever reason, the police asked the passenger of the Lyft for his ID, and he didn't have an ID with him. And he also said, like, he also asked, like, why he needed to show his ID if he hadn't done anything. This might sound, that start right there is, as I'm saying it, is very similar to the story I told last week. All right, where John driving and the cops questioned me for my identification. And thankfully it didn't turn out this way. That's what I said last time. I was like, dude, in hindsight, this was the worst idea, but I started yelling at the cop, like, why are you out? Like, I started yelling at him, and thankfully it didn't turn out this way. But Roderick asks why he has to show his ID if he's not driving and they haven't done anything. And the police ask him to step out of the vehicle. And apparently from that point on, he's tackled to the ground by another officer, tased. The video shows there's two officers on top of him. One officer is like covering his mouth and nose, trying to cover his his breathing passage, trying to cover it up. He's screaming, he's yelling out he can't breathe. The children are there, got the little boy screaming, "Daddy." The mom is screaming like he's bleeding. They're punching him in the face. And they just beat him and choke him until he goes limp. All right, in front of his children and his wife and kids. And it's all because he didn't have an ID on him while being a passenger in a Lyft ride. I think they said the officers involved have been put on administrative leave. It just happened on 9/11. I think the young man is still in custody, I was just reading. They said that they punched him in the face repeatedly because while they were trying to cover up his mouth and nose and prevent him from breathing, he apparently bit the officer's hand. So it's assault on an officer because they were holding him down, choking him, and then covering up one officer has his arm around his neck, choking him, and the other one is hand on his mouth and nose, trying to prevent him from breathing, and he bit that officer's hand because he was dying, and they beat the shit out of him, charge him, arrest him for assaulting an officer. And that's just how, that's what I'm saying. It's similar to the story I told, and thankfully, John used his fucking super crispy, extra white, sorry to bother you voice that fucking calmed everybody down, or it very well could have turned out like that. I see no reason why it wouldn't turn out like that. He simply asked why he had to show an ID if they hadn't done anything wrong. They were passengers in a cab. And they pulled the car over because the driver's tail light was out, and the passenger ends up being choked out and beaten unconscious in front of his children because he didn't have his ID. This is why shit is going on, man. My situation could have like the story I told last week could have very easily ended that way. Very, very similar. I guess I'm lucky because I had my ID on me that day. Had I not, they wouldn't have believed who the fuck I said I was. Thankfully, from what I'm aware, he's still alive. Roderick Walker is still alive from what I'm seeing. Hopefully they free him soon. The story I'm hearing, the video I'm seeing, it's the black codes. It's the black codes. Check out Dane Calloway. He went into this whole spiel on if the black codes are still if they're still active here in America. And you guys should check it out. Dane Calloway, I'm just here to make you think. I don't want to... I mentioned him earlier about the stories in Africa. If you guys just go to YouTube and search Dane Calloway. You'll find some pretty interesting things. Moving on, though. I just want to say, fuck Eric Bledsoe and anybody that love him. Trade that nigga for Chris Paul. Trade that nigga for Lonzo Ball. Trade that nigga for cash considerations. Nigga, that could get you a TJ Warren. You know what I'm talking about, nigga? I can get you a TJ Warren. I'm saying that to other teams. We would end up with cash considerations, and whoever's lucky enough to get Bledsoe, you could end up with a TJ Warren type situation. So I think other teams should really look into acquiring Eric Bledsoe from the Milwaukee Bucks. Because fuck that nigga. I didn't like that nigga. I never liked that nigga. Once he started playing here, I was like, holy shit. He's not as good as we thought he was. I don't know how he looked so good playing for Phoenix, but right away I was like, oh shit, he's not as good as we thought he was. Then they gave him the extension. I was like, holy shit. Nigga make me miss Brandon Jennings. You know what I'm saying? This nigga make me miss Matthew Dellavedova. You feel me? I definitely miss Earl Boykins these days. Fuck. We need to get Eric Bledsoe out of here. And I don't think you could do it, but I would say, like, the only way we keep my boy Middleton is we restructure that contract, my nigga. Because I don't see it working. He at least can't be the number 2. I mean, if we get Chris Paul, like, right after I started writing this, right after the Bucks got eliminated, I was writing this, and then they was talking about, like, oh, the Bucks are definitely going to try to acquire Chris Paul in the offseason. So I hope it happens, man. I feel like Eric Bledsoe has, like, the lowest basketball IQ on the team. Like, he just makes terrible decisions, and yet in his position, he's supposed to be the smartest person on the court. He's supposed to be like the coach practically, you know what I'm saying? On the floor, a floor general, but he's not that. I think he's out there just trying to get his. All right? He's just an athlete. He's not an elite point guard or an elite basketball player at that point. He's just a great athlete. Giannis unfollows all the Bucks. Now, my nigga Toby, he was saying to me, pardon me. My nigga Toby was just saying to me that Giannis unfollowed everybody but his family. It wasn't just the Bucks. He followed everybody except his unfollowed everybody except his family. So maybe it's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, he met the same day that he did this, he met with the Bucks to discuss the future. So say what you will, we were eliminated earlier than we were last year in the playoffs. And he met with the Bucks. He met with management to discuss the future. So we'll see what happens in the next few days. I don't want to see him go. You all know I don't want to see him go. Might happen. I don't know if he goes, like, I don't know, man. Trade him to the Warriors. Who got the number 1 pick? Whoever got the number 1 pick, trade him to that team, and we draft Lonzo Ball. That's the only way I see it working. Kinda. I mean, that shit would just make me hype, but trade it for Lonzo and then multiple picks, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah. I'd like that. I like that a lot. Moving on. You got Bellator just announced they're moving to CBS. So we're going to get some Bellator fights on CBS, and I think that's a pretty fucking major move. With Bellator moving to CBS, and it would be much more accessible than UFC, which is on ESPN. I think in the next 2-3 years here, we got a bigger chance of possibly seeing cross-promotion fights, which it only helps everybody. The visibility of Bellator, the popularity of Bellator increasing is only great for all MMA fans. So I'm so happy. Because at this point, more free agents, more young guys coming in will see Bellator as more of an appealing option. They'll see that, I can go over here and wear some patches and make like X amount of dollars as opposed to making $14,000 that I got to split between 7 motherfuckers, like, before like all this is said and done. Like, I don't know. I think this is fucking great, and I think we could see cross-promotion fights pretty soon. As long as Bellator delivers, with good fights. And it's not like, it's on them. It's like anything could happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, Chris Cyborg's got a fight coming in, and she could go in and, like, just knock her opponent out with one punch. It's not that exciting of a fight. But if she goes out there and has, like, a fucking 5-round war with somebody, like, on CBS, guess what? People are going to be talking about Bellator. So it's like, something's got to happen. And this is the perfect time to put on the best fights that they can. Shit, I'd say this is the perfect time to re-sign Michael Chandler if he doesn't end up in the UFC. That shit's major, but we could see something. happening. So let's stay posted on that. Let's see. This is big for MMA. Big for the world of MMA. A low for the world of MMA. Conor McGregor arrested again. Conor McGregor arrested for attempted sexual assault in France. Apparently, he was in France with his fiancée on a yacht, just on vacation, and then at some point went into a bar, pulled his dick out, and tried to sexually assault a woman. Yeah, so he's charged with, like, attempted sexual assault and indecent exposure at some bar in France while on vacation with his fiance. So I don't know what's going on with this man. Not too much information on it. He was arrested, questioned, and released. So he denies it vigorously, as they said, and who knows? Who knows? Well, I'll, maybe on the next I'll make an I Digress if we get more information as the week goes. But as for now, it's just like, dude, Conor, man, yeah, you're in the news for all the wrong reasons these days, man. You're always in the news for the wrong reasons, and it's like, why does it have to be this guy? Like, why don't you fucking? And it's not like, I don't know if these things are true. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this accusation is true, but it's just like, fuck, dude. As a person who wants to see the popularity of this sport grow and the opinions of fighters, you can't say like, oh shit, MMA is just a sport and it's okay for everyone to watch. And then people are like, nah, man, they're just like fucking Neanderthals, just gladiators going at it. And you're like arguing against that. And then the most popular person of the sport fucking grabs a dolly and throws it through the window of a bus. Like, it's kind of hard to argue against that. Like, then the fucking most popular person in the sport has like fucking attempted sexual assault cases. The most popular guy in the sport fucking punches some old guy in a bar because he didn't want to drink his fucking whiskey. Like, why do you have to be the person that took the reins as the most popular motherfucker in the sport, man? I just wish like we lived in a time with the sport as popular as it is. I wish GSP was in this position right now, someone like GSP. I guess we got Khabib, but Khabib's not the superstar in America, at least, or I say globally, as Conor is. He talks the talk, he does the things, no one's as big as Conor, and pause. And it's just, why does he have to be the guy with him living his life the way that he is, as it would seem. I just wish he wasn't the most popular figure, the most recognizable figure for the sport. If you mention MMA, people think Conor McGregor these days, They think Conor McGregor. So get it together, Conor, because you're making the whole sport look bad. You're not representing yourself. You're representing a whole fucking lifestyle, bruh. You're representing a whole entity at this point. At this point, it'd be best if you just, like, didn't fight and distance yourself from fighting as much as possible at this point. Last night, Ed Herman took on Mike Rodriguez. I had Mike Rodriguez winning that in my DraftKings. I was killing it on DraftKings at first. I had no, actually I didn't have him in this. I had my last two. I had everybody right. I was killing it. I had put Kroom as the captain in my DraftKings, and I had everybody right, like winning their fights. And the last two was I had Kama Worthy and Angela Hill that fucking sank me. But I was killing it before then. So Ed Herman took on Mike Rodriguez. Mike Rodriguez, it was pretty close for the first round, I would say. Second round, Mike Rodriguez is really putting it on him, and he drops Ed Herman with a clean body shot, clean knee to the body. Ref comes in, says timeout. Mike Rodriguez is like, timeout? And he's like, nut shot. Tells him to like walk away to the other side of the octagon. Gives Herman the full 5 minutes that is allowed it after an illegal shot. If you get hit in the nuts, they're like, all right, man, you got 5 minutes to just recover over there because it's It's terrible pain. You fellas know it. So he's writhing in pain on the ground. You're like, oh shit, he got hit in the nuts. Then they play, like during this 5 minutes of him laying there, they repeatedly show close-ups, and it's not even that close, of the knee going directly to the body, nowhere near, like it's like a high knee, nowhere near like the groin at all. And the commentator's like, oh, whoa, there's no low blow here. This doesn't make any sense. Like, why is he on the ground right now pretending? And they're like, well, yeah, I understand that a body shot hurts, but why is he milking the fact that the ref thinks he got hit in the nuts? He's pretending he got hit in the balls when the replay is showing clearly that it was nowhere near there. So this guy takes the full 5 minutes of rest, gets up, is able to get out of the second round, takes Mike Rodriguez down in the third round and fucking submits him. The fight should have been stopped with that knee earlier, but the ref in turn comes in and gives Ed Herman a 5-minute break before and then continuing the fight. It was fucking disgusting. All right, Dana White said that they're gonna pay Mike Rodriguez his fight money as if he won the fight, because he should have won. The fight should have been stopped with that knee that was called a nut shot that was seen in the replay that you can use. The ref is allowed to look at that replay and see like, oh shit, I got it wrong. And then regardless of them repeatedly playing the replay on the screen, he never once was like, hey, stand up, we got to fight. He let that guy sit there for the full 5 minutes while seeing on the screen that there was no nut shot, as he called it. Ref was like, nope, nut shot. It was just a pretty disgusting scene. Most controversial fight there, because it was like, yo, if Ed Herman wins this fight, it makes no sense. Like, it's going to be big controversy. But, I mean, I don't think either one is too big of a name, so, like, maybe it's going to come and go. But I just thought that was pretty fucking gross. Angela Hill versus Michelle Waterson in the main event. I thought Angela Hill looked fucking amazing in that fight. First 2 rounds, she was really putting it on Michelle Waterson. I would say in the third and fourth. So the third, Hill got taken down and controlled. She wasn't able to get back up in the third round. She tried, and then Waterson like began to take her back, and it was this whole grappling thing, and it was like she was ending up in bad positions. So she wasn't able to stand back up once she got taken to the ground in the third, and she was kind of a little more timid in the fourth. And then the fifth, she picked it up again, and in my opinion, clearly won the fifth. So in a lot of people's opinions, she won the first, second, and fifth round and clearly would win the fight. But as the judges showed, one judge did score the fight for Angela Hill, and the other 2 scored the fight for Michelle Waterson. So unfortunately, Waterson wins via split decision. Though her face was pretty mashed up, she's pretty fucked up. And if you look at Angela Hill, it looks like she hadn't even gotten into a fight. And that's how it was with her last fight also. People were saying she's like the female Cowboy. No, if you look at her last 2 opponents, she's more so looking like the female Tony Ferguson. She puts these people through the fucking the buzzsaw. What did he say? I got super hyped for the Tony Ferguson Justin Gaethje fight because I was watching Embedded, it was an interview with Tony Ferguson. He was like, I'm bringing the blades out. And I was like, fuck, this is about to be a fight. And that's what Angela Hill does to these ladies. She brings the blades out, you know. But she lost, and unfortunately. So I might be feeling this type of way, and I could be wrong, all right? I could be reading this completely wrong, but... Wait, no, before I get to the end of the fight, there was something that I thought was pretty disgusting with Waterson. So, before the fifth, she was, like, jumping up around, like, ha, ha. And I was like, well, whatever. She's trying to maybe show or pretend, trying to intimidate Hill to show that she was, like, fresh coming into the fifth. But I was fully aware that she wasn't. She's fucking gassed on that stool. But toward the end of the round, like the last minute, she starts doing these starts doing these loud screams with her strikes. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, she was losing the round, but then she starts doing all these dramatic strikes, like, hiya, hiya, hiya. And I was like, fuck. She's trying to sway the fucking judges here. Because right now, because I remember Eddie Bravo talking about, I explained it here, the fight where the guy was taking the other guy down and controlling him on the ground. But every once in a while, the guy would, like, somehow sweep him and get up. And then, but the guy was otherwise being controlled the entire fight. But the replays after each round kept just showing that fighter being able to stand up and sweep him. And he was like, even though the guy was losing the fight, he was like, I guarantee because the replays are showing that guy getting up, that's how the judges are going to call this fight. And sure enough, the fighter who was being dominated the whole fight won the fight because the replays kept showing that he was being able to just get up repeatedly, get out of these bad positions. But he was dominated the whole fight. So it's like, judges are questionable. So as this fight's coming toward the end of the round here, and she starts screaming, ha, 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 I was like, fuck, she's trying to sway the judges. And it worked, unfortunately, because they gave her the round, even though the strike count, dude, I don't know what let me look for that. The strike count for the last round was crazy. I saw something. I searched for this earlier, and I saw... Well, I didn't search for this. I searched for Angela Hill, and it popped up, but now it's not here. Now it's not here. Yeah, I don't know where it is. But, yeah, she kind of put it on her. Like, so then when... It seemed like she noticed, you know what I'm saying, that this was happening. Like, she starts doing these kias, and then Watterson just rushes in and really puts it on her, and I was like, fuck, she needed to, like, do this a little sooner, you know? Fuck. I'm saying fuck because I'm trying to find these, trying to find the strike count. Damn, I saw it earlier when I wasn't looking for it, and now I can't find it. Because that's just the way love goes, you know? Because I remember I was trying to look up, I wanted to see Michelle Watterson's face. I was looking for Watterson's face after the fight, and I was looking for Claudia Gadelia's face after the fight. All right, whatever, I can't find it. But she outstruck her by a lot in the last round, but somehow lost the fight. Now, so I could be wrong. I could be interpreting her post-fight speech wrong, but I was pretty fucking grossed out by Michelle Watterson's post-fight speech. Now, for reference in my disgust, back when the George Floyd murder happened and all the protests started, Gordon Ryan, where, if you don't know, he's no-gi god or whatever, no-gi king or whatever they call this guy. It's for jiu-jitsu. It's the gi, which is like the karate robes that if you're a layman, if you don't know, you wear the gi. You could do jiu-jitsu with the gi, or there's no-gi jiu-jitsu. And he's like he's known around the world as like the best no-gi jiu-jitsu practitioner. And you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of guys like who do jiu-jitsu look at this guy as a role model. And I even used to look at some of his videos before class and try to learn some techniques before, try to have a hand up. Like, I would try to do some new shit. Because you're with people, they know I'm a newer in the class, so, like, they know some of my shit is limited. So I would watch videos and try to learn certain techniques and employ those into classes when I would go to class. So I would look at some of his videos. But Gordon Ryan, around this time with the protest of George Floyd, started tweeting about how he believes most black people just sit around complaining, and only a few black people ever actually try to make it make something out of their circumstances. And he got called out on this for being racist, and he doubled down on it. Like, Gordon Ryan, in my book, was completely canceled. It was like, fuck that dude. He went on this crazy rant, and it's like, he believes, it's like, are you telling me that like, I think Gordon Ryan's a white guy, so you're telling me like there's no white people in bad circumstances, there's no out of shape white people, like, you're telling me your race is perfect in every way, every single person in your race is perfect, like, there's no issues. But no, he's just speaking a broad, ignorant claim about millions of people with fucking no basis. It's just racism, just pure racism. Also, I wanted to touch that a few days ago, it was put out here in this article saying that Donald Trump was saying how he feels no responsibility to try to understand black pain and the people that do drink the Kool-Aid, all right? And I was saying on my I Digress that when they were saying the beef between Watterson and Hill, like, what is the beef? And I was like, dude, the beef is that she was tweeting out her support for, Michelle Watterson was tweeting out her support for Donald Trump about how he's the president we need and blah, blah, blah. And and then Angela Hill tweeted out that, oh, like, now I really want to punch you in the face. So that was the whole beef. So Trump says that he feels no responsibility to understand black pain and people who did drink the Kool-Aid. So Watterson's speech after winning is, I know there's a lot of people in America feeling pain right now. I would suggest you use that pain to grow instead of letting it keep you down. Like, that was her fucking post-fight speech, which I'm like, holy fuck. Holy fuck. Like, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but when you go in there, the fact that she's talking about Trump is the president we need, and a few days before she says this, he's like, I feel no responsibility to understand black pain. And then her very chosen words were, I know there's a lot of pain in America right now. I would suggest those people use that pain to grow instead of letting it keep you down. So, like, I could be wrong in my understanding, but as I'm understanding it, my response is, fuck Michelle Watterson and anybody that love her. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck her. That shit seems pretty blatant to me, but I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? I am crazy. So, you know, who knows? Like, I could be interpreting it wrong, but if I am interpreting it right, the way I see it is fuck Michelle Watterson. Angela Hill fought a great fucking fight. I think she won that fight, and she said she's going to fly out to Fight Island. We got those fights coming up pretty soon here. Hope to see her fight soon, you know, maybe in a month or so. Let her rest up a little bit and do what she needs to do. But she's a great fighter, and I think she won that fight. And now it's time for me to be an instant hypocrite. Ladies and gentlemen, next week, we got my boy Colby Covington taking on my boy Tyron Woodley. Now, I just want to say for reference here, like, yes, I like Colby Covington, who is the guy who's the MAGA guy, wearing the MAGA hat, doing his thing, blah, blah. But I think, honestly, Colby's more of a gimmick. And people who knew him, who know him, who used to be around him back in the day when he was going to get cut by the UFC, was like, dude, he was never like Republican. He was usually like a Democrat and supported like all this other shit. And then he just needed that gimmick to stay in the UFC. So even when I hear him, it's like he talks about pro wrestling all. He's doing gimmicks, like trying to set up a pro wrestling match with Drew McIntyre, like the WWE champion. So, like, when I see Colby doing it, I see it all as a gimmick, and I see the entertainment. I think it's quite hilarious. On the other hand, Watterson, who isn't being outwardly brash just for entertainment, is speaking her true feelings when she says on Twitter that Donald Trump is the president we need. That's just like her speaking what she feels. When she says that, I know there's a lot of people feeling pain in America. That's her speaking her true feelings. And Masvidal saying all that shit's like don't believe these people hating on Goya when the Goya guy goes out there to speak to represent Well, when the Goya guy endorsed Donald Trump and there was all that backlash, you got real MAGA supporters like Masvidal who were like, who were trying to like stick up for the Goya guys and like, don't let these sheep blind you. But they're real MAGA supporters. Meanwhile, Kobe, the people everybody hates for talking about it, doing this gimmick, is just doing it for entertainment. So that's how I feel, and I could be wrong. I could be interpreting this situation completely wrong. But, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. This is just my opinion. And I think, in my opinion, I think Kobe takes this one versus Woodley. Woodley hasn't been the same Woodley from the past 2 years. He's been training with Masvidal, and they were saying, like, the fire is back inside of him. This is a lot of the same shit they were saying leading up to the Gilbert Burns fight. He was ready to go. And honestly, in the first few seconds of that fight, before he really got caught, I felt like he looked like he was ready to go. Once the fight started, and then he just got caught, and then from that moment on, he was like, he doesn't want to be here. And I think Kobe's going to really he just overwhelms. He just keeps striking, keeps that pressure on you. I think he's just going to be too much for Woodley. Because he was being able to really be controlled by Gilbert. And then on paper, I think Woodley should be able to dominate those wrestling exchanges, and that wasn't the case. So that's the main event for next week. I'm excited for that. You got Khamzat Chimaev taking on Gerald Meerschaert. Meerschaert trains here in Milwaukee at Rufus Sport. So I would like to see Meerschaert. I'd be cool with Meerschaert winning that fight, but I'm rooting for Khamzat because Khamzat's a phenomenon right now. Khamzat is a goddamn phenomenon. Let me see what's going on. Just wanted to make sure I'm still recording. Oh, shit, I'm an hour and a half. Let's go. So Khamzat is a fucking phenomenon. He's exciting to watch right now. He's undefeated. And if he loses right here, then it's like, well, shit, that was something that was really exciting and look forward to, like, as he was moving up in his martial arts journey as an undefeated fighter. And if he loses here, then guess what? Oh, that excitement's gone. So I'm rooting for Khamzat just to keep that excitement in there. You got Johnny Walker taking on Ryan Spann. I think that's going to be a real rough fight for Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, from what I'm to understand, he was originally training in Brazil. Then for his last fight, he went to Canada to train with Firas Zahabi, George St. Pierre's coach. And he lost that fight to Corey Anderson, I think was his last fight. And now he's fighting Ryan Spann, and I believe he's trained for this fight in Ireland with Conor McGregor's coach, John Kavanagh, which, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea to be switching gyms so frequently like that. Like, the people in your corner don't really know too much about you, So I think this kind of spells disaster for Johnny Walker. His coach from Brazil, when he left to go to Canada, was talking about how, like, he just had a history of using people, and he predicted that Johnny wouldn't be in Canada with Firas for that long because he just likes to use people. And it's not no hour and a half, nigga. You stupid. That's an hour and 3 minutes. I think it was an hour and 30 seconds is what I was seeing. Anywho, nigga, you stupid. We got Kevin Howland next week taking on Darren Stewart. That's about to be a fucking crazy fight. This is all in the main card. You also got Mackenzie Dern taking on Randa Marcos in the main card. It's a pretty sick main card next week. And the week after that, you got UFC 253, Adesanya versus Costa and Reyes versus Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title that John Jones just vacated. This got a pretty nice couple of weeks of MMA coming up here, and I'm excited for it. Go ahead and give you guys a social media. If you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, you can go to @Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to this podcast on Babylon5 Podbean.com. Or did I say listen? I don't know. I'm going to go back. You can follow this podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you got Xbox One, my gamer tag is SaucedBoss414. You can go ahead and add me. You can watch me play with myself at twitch.tv/Babylon5. You can go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop to check out the merch. And go ahead and be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. This is episode 56 for Lyfe. Thank you guys so much for being here with me another week. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Hopefully. Everybody stay safe. Wash your hands. There's a pandemic going on. All right. Peace.